The fog rolled in thick over Maxwell Air Force Base, smothering the tarmac in gray silence. It was early, not even 0700. Most of the day crew hadn't arrived yet. From her position near the edge of the maintenance hangar, Emily Carter could barely see the runway lines. But she could hear it. Rotor wash. Not just wind. Panic. She raised her binoculars. A UH-60 Black Hawk tail smoking dropped altitude faster than normal descent. Its rear stabilizer flared orange. Sparks trailed behind the fuselage. She watched it touch down hard on runway 3, skipping once, then grinding to a halt with a metallic groan. No explosion. Not yet. The two escort helicopters held formation above for a second before peeling away. Protocol. Protect the perimeter. Clear the air. She didn't move. Not until the cargo ramp dropped. Not until she saw one of the crew stumble out cradling something. It was small. Too small. The figure in the crewman's arms dangled limp. The head bobbed with each step. Emily adjusted the focus. Boy. No more than 8. Hair matted with blood. One shoe missing. His lips looked purple from here. She dropped the binoculars. The fog swallowed her boots as she walked to the storage bay. Inside, parked beside the rust-streaked wall, was the decommissioned M997 field ambulance she kept alive. Officially, it was retired, unfit for active use. She disagreed. She climbed into the driver's seat. The ignition caught on the second turn. The engine rumbled steady. She didn't touch the radio yet. Didn't announce anything. The decision had already been made. As she steered toward runway 3, the fog grew thicker. Sirens started behind her. The base was waking up. But Emily didn't slow down. The boy wasn't moving. The first voice hit the emergency frequency hard. This is Lieutenant Pierce. All personnel. Do not approach runway 3. Aviation fuel confirmed. Leak is active. Containment team en route. No exceptions. Emily adjusted her grip on the wheel. The old ambulance truck vibrated against the uneven asphalt. She flicked the radio dial to Private Response Channel 1, the one she used during drills. Another voice came through, clipped and rising. Carter, you are not cleared for rescue ops. Stop the vehicle now. That's a direct order. She didn't respond. Didn't reach for the mic. Her eyes stayed locked on the smoke plume rising ahead. She could see the sheen of fuel stretching under the belly of the Black Hawk, slick and wide like a frozen lake. A few hundred feet out now. An overhead speaker crackled from the operations tower. Civilian vehicle approaching hazard zone. Repeat. Unauthorized access to active spill. Base MP dispatched. She rolled the window down halfway. The stench hit instantly. Fuel and burnt wiring. Her eyes watered. She blinked it off and tapped the horn twice, short and sharp. There was no response from the crash site. The flight crew had already backed away. The boy was still down, still motionless 20 feet from open fire. Pierce came back angrier. Emily Carter, this is your final warning. Abort movement. You are violating Article 9 clearance. You will answer for this. She turned off the radio. The truck moved forward, alone. Up ahead, flames had not yet sparked, but the air shimmered with risk. She kept her foot steady on the gas. Someone had to get the boy, and no one else was moving. She braked 6 feet from the boy's body. The engine idled low. No flames yet. Just silence and vapor. Emily grabbed the emergency bag from the passenger seat and stepped out fast. Her boots slipped once in the damp fuel streaks. She didn't stop. The boy's face was pale. Blood crusted his temple. His name tag was half torn. Sam. His pulse was weak. Shallow breaths. Skin clammy. She knelt beside him, one knee planted, scanning for bleeding. No open wounds, but his lips had gone blue. The air was hotter here. The spill hissed faintly beneath the wreck's frame. Electrical arcs snapped quietly above the rotor. She worked quickly. Airway. Tilted jaw. Cleared obstruction. Thermal wrap from the bag. Secured tight under the neck and knees. Fingerstick. Glucose drop. Low. She reached into the kit again. One ampule pressed into his cheek pouch. His eyelids twitched. She glanced at the helicopter once. No movement, no crew, no flames. Back to the boy. She checked his pulse again, slightly stronger, still irregular. She didn't speak. No noise but the click of Velcro, the seal of gauze, the crinkle of packaging. Her hands didn't shake. They moved like they'd done this before. In the shadow of a fuel truck 50 yards away, Rodriguez held his phone steady. He wasn't supposed to record during emergency conditions. He did anyway. Through the camera lens, he zoomed on Emily's face. Her jaw was locked tight. Sweat ran from her hairline. She glanced once at the spreading pool of fuel, then back to the boy. Never paused. The radio kept spitting warnings. Unauthorized civilian at crash zone. Immediate MP intervention en route. Violation of direct orders. Possible explosion threat. Lockdown protocols initiated. Nobody moved closer. Rodriguez kept recording. He whispered to himself. She's still going. Still working. Emily adjusted the child's wrap again. She reached into her side pouch, pulled out a pocket defibrillator. Pre-charged. Checked the leads. Didn't need to use it. Not yet. But she was ready. The ops tower broadcast again. Subject ignoring all communication. Secondary breach reported. Ground command authorizing physical removal. Rodriguez zoomed in tighter. Her lips moved now. No sound. She was counting. 1, 2, 3. Pulse. Pressure. Repeat. Behind her, the perimeter buzzed. Military police vehicles stopped short of the spill zone. One officer raised a hand, spoke into a headset, then lowered it. They waited. She kept working. Behind him, someone said she was crazy. Someone else whispered she was right. Rodriguez didn't say anything. He watched her through the lens. The way her shoulders stayed level. The way her hands never lost rhythm. The way she leaned in like this was the only thing left in the world. And maybe it was. The C-40 Clipper landed without warning. No radio call. No flight log update. It taxied to a stop behind the command tower engines, winding down with a sharp metallic whine. General Michael Henderson stepped off first. His aide, Major Williams, caught up at the bottom of the ramp holding a folder with half-read briefing notes. Sir, we have an incident on runway 3. Civilian technician entered a restricted zone against orders. Helicopter down, possible fuel ignition. Base lockdown is in effect. MP already in motion. Henderson didn't answer. He kept walking. He reached the edge of the crowd. Technicians, command staff, logistics gathered behind the safety perimeter. Nobody noticed him at first. He looked across the tarmac, saw the old ambulance truck, saw the dark streaks spreading from the helicopter. And he saw her. She was bent over the boy. Focused. Radio beside her, unused. She hadn't heard a word of the chaos. Williams kept talking behind him, something about Pierce filing disciplinary reports. Henderson didn't respond. He watched the scene like a man studying a chessboard with one move left to make. He didn't blink. Who authorized the medical response team to stand down? General Henderson's voice cut through the static of the emergency channel. It wasn't loud, but every officer near the perimeter turned. Lieutenant Pierce stepped forward, his uniform perfect voice sharp. Sir, standard fuel hazard protocol. Medics were ordered to hold position until hazmat certified the zone. Henderson didn't move his eyes from the crash site, still watching the woman with the boy. And who authorized the prohibition of all vehicles? I did, sir. And the reason? Explosion risk. Aviation fuel is unstable in uncontained leaks. SOP dictates full perimeter lockdown. Henderson nodded once, then turned slowly. Where is your casualty? Pierce hesitated. Sir, the boy, the one in her arms. Sir, the casualty was not listed on the flight manifest. Initial reports suggest a crew-dependent, possibly family. He was not the mission's primary. So you waited, sir. We followed procedure. He studied Pierce for a moment. The kind of look that carried weight. 30 years of command behind it. Then he looked back toward Emily. She was repositioning the child now, rechecking the vitals. Her truck angled for quick retreat. Fuel line 10 feet away. Safe margin. Just enough. Not reckless. Calculated. While your team waited for a clearance code, She acted. Henderson didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. Nobody spoke. He walked past the perimeter line. No one stopped him. Officers stiffened as he passed. His boots echoed faintly on the damp tarmac. Fuel fumes were stronger now. Emily didn't look up when he reached the truck. She was taking vitals again, eyes on the boy's chest. Hands steady. "Miss Carter," he said. She acknowledged with a nod but didn't stop. "With respect, sir, I can't salute. He's still unstable. Respiration's weak but improving." He leaned forward, noted the IV line. Improvised but clean. Glucose response underway. Color returning to the lips. He gently lifted the boy's wrist to check the pulse himself. That's when he saw the bracelet. Medical ID tag. Standard issue. The name etched clear. Samuel David Henderson. The world around him narrowed. He whispered, barely audible, "David's son." Emily looked up, confused. Sir Henderson kept his eyes on the child, his voice flat now, controlled. "Lieutenant David Henderson was my nephew. We flew together in Iraq. He took fire covering a civilian evac. Didn't make it." His gaze stayed on the boy. "And this is his only son." He didn't say anything more. Didn't need to. Emily understood. The silence around them deepened. Henderson turned back toward the crowd. Officers stood in formation now, some still holding radios, others frozen mid-command. No one moved. He raised his voice. While protocol froze our response, while regulations were consulted, while risk assessments were being written, a child almost died. No one answered. He gestured to the truck. One technician, no backup, no authorization, no hesitation. She saved him. He looked at Pierce. "You followed procedure. That's clear. But I ask you now, in your judgment, was the protocol sufficient?" Pierce opened his mouth, closed it. "Sir, the risk I asked about results, Lieutenant. Not excuses." Henderson turned away before the reply came. He pointed to Emily. "Effective immediately, all actions against this technician are suspended. I want a full review of our emergency response directives, starting with hers." One of the officers started to object. Henderson cut him off. Quiet, calm, final. "We'll update the manual later. Today we followed the example." His voice didn't rise, but it reached every man and woman on that line. They didn't salute. They just watched her. Emily still at the boy's side, adjusting the oxygen level with 2 fingers, unaware of the shift happening behind her, not looking for reward, just making sure he lived. 2 weeks later, the Carter Protocol went into effect. It wasn't announced with speeches, no banners, no press, but the changes spread fast. Old, decommissioned emergency vehicles were pulled from storage. Mechanics were assigned to them, not for display, for use. Medtechs received new cross-training modules, field triage, solo response, civilian interface drills. Each module started with one question: what do you do when time is the enemy? There wasn't a standard answer. That was the point. The technician who wrote the unofficial procedures didn't attend the policy meeting. She didn't know about the doctrine rewrite. She was in Bay 12 replacing a cracked oxygen regulator on a C-130 medevac bird. Same shift. Same tools, no change. Except now, when she walked the hangars, airmen watched her. Not with curiosity, with attention. Some asked to shadow her during maintenance hours. She said yes without comment, just handed them gloves and pointed at the parts bin. The system didn't become perfect. It just got smarter, because one woman acted while everyone else waited. The base tried 3 times. First, a commendation ceremony. Official invite. Signed by command. She declined it. Second, an interview request from the Armed Forces Network. She didn't respond. Third, a private luncheon with the general. She thanked them, then went back to work. A reporter found her near the comms bay, elbow deep in a radio mount. She told him she had nothing to say. When asked why she wouldn't accept the honors, she said this: "You don't fix a flat and expect a trophy. You just fix it because someone needs to keep moving." They printed that quote anyway. She didn't read the article. In the operations building, a photograph appeared in the main briefing room. Black and white. Slight grain. Captured from Rodriguez's phone. Emily kneeling beside a boy, hands mid-wrap. Fuel spill behind them. No fire. Just stillness. The caption read, "Civilian technician, Emily Carter. Acted while others awaited orders." She didn't know about the photo until a lieutenant showed her during a repair call. She glanced at it, said nothing. Then went back to inventorying replacement masks. New recruits began hearing about her on day one, not as a legend, as a case study. What does it mean to act with informed disobedience? How do you balance courage against chain of command? The instructors didn't tell them what to think. They just told the story. Emily kept her hours, night shifts, backup detail, equipment drills. She showed up early, left late, took notes in the same spiral notebook she'd carried for years. Her name circulated at higher levels. No one could remember when a civilian had caused a doctrine rewrite, but she stayed where she was, the woman who stepped forward when it mattered, and then went back to work. 6 months later, her phone buzzed during equipment rotation. She was checking voltage levels on a defibrillator battery. Didn't stop working. Finished the test. Noted the result. Then glanced at the screen. Message from a number she didn't recognize. "Aunt Emily," it started. "Sam is doing great. Back in school. Running laps like nothing ever happened. He tells everyone he wants to fix things when he grows up. Just like you. He's drawing helicopters now. Always paints the truck red even though yours was olive green. You made an impression." The message ended with a photo. Sam holding a toy wrench, grinning. Beside him a folded Air Force flag on a shelf. Underneath a nameplate, Lt. David Henderson. Emily stared at the screen, then pocketed the phone. She was still in her coveralls, still smelled like solvent. Across from her, a pair of new airmen were waiting. She handed them tools. AED battery checks. "Start with Unit 4. Be quick but thorough." They followed her into the next bay. No speeches, no mention of medals. Just work. Later that week, a trainee hesitated over a rusted oxygen valve. "Ma'am," he said, "these kits almost never get used. Why keep fixing them?" Emily didn't look up. Just ran a calibration check. Because when someone needs help, she said they need it right now, not after we check the manual, not after 3 people sign a form, not after it's safe. Right now. The airman nodded slowly. She tightened the last screw, closed the panel, and logged the entry. Then, almost to herself, sometimes the right thing isn't written down. You just know it. The hangar hummed with low generator buzz. Tools clinked. Somewhere outside, a transport jet lifted off. She didn't add anything else. She didn't have to.